is 2005. For their senior year project.
The basic setting of Molecular Drop is a fantasy setting in an underground dungeon, kind of like a living mountain.
There was a princess who's captured by this evil demon, taken to his dungeon lair, and instead of having the main character be somebody who rescues that princess, we decided that you would be the princess trying to escape all on your own. And you do that with the help of this elemental within the dungeon that can essentially create portals in its walls. And he's agreed to help you so that you can defeat the demon that's taken over his mountain home.
Robin Walker, one of Valve's developers, saw the game at DigiPen's career fair. He was impressed. So impressed, in fact, contacted the team that made the game with criticisms and showed the game at Valve's offices. Gabe Newell was also very impressed. He offered the team a job at Valve to develop the game further. He said they had actually carried the concept through, completing most of the work that Valve would have to do with the physics and portals. During the development, they dropped the original setting of a princess trying to escape a dungeon to the iconic Aperture Science setting. The game begins, Test Chamber 0, with the protagonist Shell waking up in a stasis bed. You're trapped in a cube. There is a radio playing upbeat music, a mug, a clipboard, and a toilet. Then a voice comes on.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center.
Glados. During the first year of development, Valve hired Eric Wolpow and Chet Filizek to write Portal. They thought of a concept of AI guiding the player through an experimental facility, and the AI would communicate to the player, leading to the creation of Glados. Glados informs the player that they have to do tests and tries to warn the player about danger, but she glitches out.
And learning are the primary goals of all Enrichment Center activities. Serious injuries may occur. For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from...
You go out to the Enrichment Center to complete puzzles and get to the end. As you are promised cake, you are introduced to buttons, cubes, the vital apparatus vents, and the material emancipation grills. Test Chamber 2, you receive a portal gun. Now you can create distinct blue and orange portals, just like Narbacular Drop. Test Chamber 3, you learn that portals can be used to make exits and entrances. Test Chamber 4.
As part of a required test protocol, we will not monitor the next test chamber. You will be entirely on your own.
You are informed by GLaDOS that the next chamber will not be monitored. There are more boxes and buttons. GLaDOS reveals that she
as
lied
part
about
of a
not
required test
monitoring
protocol,
this chamber.
our previous statement suggesting that we would not monitor this chamber was an outright fabrication,
showing that she is dishonest and might have malicious intentions. Test Chamber 6. The Aperture Science High Energy Pellet is introduced that you're not allowed to make portals onto. Test Chamber 7. The unstationary scaffolds are introduced. As you progress through the levels, it gets bigger and more dangerous. Acid pits, using momentum to jump across the map, and turrets. In the 16th chamber, you find a den that belonged to the Ratman, suggesting that people were trapped in this facility. The cake is a lie, written over and over again. Tally marks showing how much time this person had been here, revealing the cracks about the tests. GLaDOS' tone also starts to become more sinister.
Did you know you can donate one or all of your vital organs to the Aperture Science of the Steam Fund for Girls? It's true.
In the last chamber, GLaDOS gives us a weighted companion cube that aids us in the puzzles. We must take it through the rest of the chamber. It cannot be destroyed or damaged. You come across another den, finding out that someone seems to have had an obsession with the companion cube, having pictures of it taped everywhere with erratic writing on the wall, talking about how the cube would never desert them. On the bottom, there's a piece of login information. You can log into this on an archived version of the Aperture Science website. When you type in notes, it reveals some lore about Aperture Science. 1953, Aperture Science begins operation. Manufacturer of shower curtains. Early product line provides a very BW tech portal between the inside and outside of your shower. Very little science is actually involved. The name is chosen to make the curtains appear more hygienic. 1956 Eisenhower Administration awards Aperture a contract to provide shower curtains to all branches of the military except the Navy. 1957 to 1975, mostly shower curtains. 1978, Aperture founder and CEO Gabe Johnson is exposed to mercury while secretly developing a dangerous mercury-injected rubber sheeting form, which he plans to manufacture 7 deadly shower curtains to be given as gifts to each member of the House Naval Appropriations Committee. 1979, both of Gabe Johnson's kidney fail, brain damage, dying, and incapable of being convinced that the time is not now flowing backwards. Johnson lays out a 3-tiered R&D program. The results, he says, will guarantee the continued success of Aperture science far into the fast approaching distant past. Tier 1, the Heimlich countermaneuver, a reliable technique for interrupting the life-saving Heimlich maneuver. Tier 2, the Take-A-Wish Foundation, a charitable organization that will purchase wishes from the parents of terminally ill children and redistribute them to wish-deprived but otherwise healthy adults. Tier 3, some kind of rip in the fabric of space that would, well, it'd be like, I don't know, something that would help with the shower curtains, I guess. I haven't worked this idea out as much as the wish-taking one. 1981 to 1985, work progresses on the Portal project. Several high-ranking personnel choked to death on lamb chunks despite the intervention of their bodyguards. 1986, word reaches Aperture management that another defense contractor called Black Mesa is working on a similar portal technology. In response to this news, Aperture begins developing the genetic life form and disk operating system Glados, an artificially intelligent research assistant and disk operating system. 1996, after a decade spent bringing the disk operating parts of Glados to a state of more or less basic functionality, work begins on the genetic lifeform component. Several years later, the untested AI is activated for the first time as one of the planned activities on Aperture's first annual Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. In many ways, the initial test goes well. So we learned that Aperture Science started off manufacturing shower curtains. The CEO, Gabe Johnson, was poisoned by mercury while trying to make a deadly shower curtain to give to the Naval Appropriations Committee. Gabe Johnson got kidney brain damage and is dying. Throughout the 80s, they're working on a portal project, and Glados is created. At the end of this chamber, Glados forces the player to dispose of the cube.
You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations.
And go through the most convoluted chamber. You have to open multiple portals to make the high energy pellets, knock down the turrets, to make this platform move, to get over to the other side and get the cube to open the door. Then you reach the final test. You ride on a platform while dodging the pellets and making platforms to avoid being pushed off. After Shell completes the final test chamber, Glados congrats Shell.
Congratulations. The test is now over. All Aperture technologies remain safely operational up to 4,000 degrees Kelvin.
And now we are heading towards an incinerator. Thank God you have the most powerful device in this game, and you can easily escape.
What are you doing? Stop it.
Glados panics and insists that she was pretending to kill
We
Shell.
don't believe that you made it through the final challenge where we pretended we were going to murder you. We are very, very happy for your success.
And she's actually going to give us our cake. Traveling through the maintenance area, you have to parkour your way out. Glados tries to stop you with a rocket sentry. Eventually, you make it through the end. You walk through empty and eerie office hallways and reach a large chamber where you see Glados hanging from the ceiling.
Well, you found me. Congratulations. Was it worth it?
Glados berates Shell and prepares a surprise. Then a personality core falls off.
Time out for a second. That wasn't supposed to happen.
A 6-minute countdown starts as Shell incinerates more cores. Glados hurls juvenile insults at her
I think you're doing some damage.
and physically fires rockets at you. A portal malfunction tears the room apart and pulls everything to the surface. Shell is then seen lying outside the facility gates amid the wreckage. You are dragged across the floor by an unseen individual. In the final scene, there are shelves containing dozens of cores, some of which begin to light up before a robotic arm descends and puts a candle on the cake. This game is creepy. There is something off. The player is alone in a sterile, inhuman environment with no signs of other life. The test chambers create a cold and impersonal environment under the pretext of scientific research,
It's not too late for you to turn back. I'm not angry.
emphasizing the player's solitude. It becomes increasingly clear that you're not just alone. You're being watched by an entity that does not value your life. After the game released in 2007, it received critical acclaim and was a commercial success. But there was still a mystery about what this place was. How did the protagonist end up here? Why are we the only one here? Who occupied this place last? And where did they go? Development for Portal 1 started as early as 2005, and it looked a lot like Half-Life 2, taking design cues from Nova Prospect. Instead of being guided through the facility by Glados, the player was to investigate the facility alone, eliminating the boss fight at the end. In the final escape map, the player must search for car batteries to power a locked door while avoiding hazards such as turrets and fires. The chambers in the beta had a much darker and grittier aesthetic, featuring worn down environments. There's no malicious voice berating you, really just solidifying the isolation of Portal. Compared to the release version, while still being ominous, it had a sci-fi and cleaner look. At 2:33 p.m. PST on March 1st, 2010, the first update to Portal was made. The description states, changed radio transmission frequency to comply with federal and state spectrum management regulations, with a new achievement added, transmission received. The game now has 26 radios. The radios will be hidden in places harder to reach. When you get the radio each time, it must be placed in a specific spot within the test chamber. When positioned correctly, the music will become distorted, followed by Morse code or data transmission sounds. The sounds added in the March 1st, 2010 update can be found in the folder Ambient in the Portal sound files, including Dinosaur 1 to Dinosaur 26. The radio audio can be viewed in an SSTV software, and it will produce distorted images. There are images of keyboards, a PC, a toy cow, a Aperture Laboratories white lab coat, and a mousetrap that might be a reference to Ratman. The dinosaur images 2, 4, 7, 13, 16, 18, 20, 25 are cut into 4 images containing an alphanumeric highlighted or circle, and each with a number from 1 to 34 on the bottom right, put in order given in the bottom right numbers. These images will give these strings of letters. This string is in the MD5 hash of a BBS number 425-822-5251, registered to an unpublished landline in Kirkland, a Seattle suburb where Valve was founded. March 3rd also saw changes made to the file dump accessed with the 425-822-5251 number at 2:15 p.m. PST. It included a progress bar counting from 0 to 76. The words valuable asset retrieval initiated at 9:44 a.m. PST on March 5th, 2010. Portal 2 was officially announced on Steam. When reorganized, you will get a username and a password for the BBS number. When you log in, you will get a blue text on a gray background, headed by the Aperture Laboratories logo. Thank you for participating in the trial phase of the Aperture Science Cooperative Testing Initiative. Because of your success, we are moving forward with this project. You will be contacted when the live fire phase of the Cooperative Testing Initiative is ready to accept applicants. And an image of 2 test subjects stick figures with a thumbs up, and one with his arms around the neck of the other. An image with a red background with the text "Cooperative Trial Completed" under them. People were intrigued by the ARG and found it creepy, but it was just to promote Portal 2. After the success of the first game, the development for Portal 2 was almost immediate. Portal had a team of 7 or 8 people, but Portal 2 had a team of 30 or 40 working to expand the mechanics and the lore. After 3 years of development, Portal 2 was released. 50 days after Shell is put in a stasis, she is instructed to perform a mandatory physical and mental wellness exercise to teach the player the standard controls. Shell is then instructed to return to bed. Between 50 and 50 years later, Shell is awakened again.
Should vacate the enrichment center immediately. Any test subject
Are you gonna open the door?
The room is dark, destroyed, and depressing. Shell meets the mysterious announcer,
Or her rights to
Hello?
remain.
Oh, God. You look
Wheatley. He fears that he will be blamed by management for the incident, so we escape by smashing the chamber through a wall.
Okay, look, I wasn't going to mention this to you, but I'm in pretty hot water here.
As our room crumbles, we see the extended relaxation center, which is housed to tens and thousands of test subjects, and sometimes they are put into long-term relaxation shortly after or before their testing courses. Now the compound is completely empty. You get dropped into the Aperture Science facility, and it is overgrown and badly damaged. You get your portal gun back and solve puzzles to get through the test chamber. The facility is bigger and the puzzles are even more complex. Wheatley proves himself to be a useful asset. He can be plugged into personality core input ports, allowing him to open access the mainframe.
All over there, yeah? And I'll show you something. You'll be impressed by this.
To open doors and wall panels. Then you have to carry him along your journey while he yaps the entire way. You come across the remains of Glados in the central AI chamber. You then reach a breaker room. Wheatley tells you to look for a switch that says escape pod. You can't find it, so he tells you to plug him in so he can turn the lights on. While plugged in, he raises the platform and flips literally every switch in the breaker room. Glados is then resurrected.
Oh, there's a password. Okay, it's fine. I'll just hack it. Not a problem.
She grabs us, then kills Wheatley. She then makes us do tests, just like old times. Test Chamber 1 is the first chamber to use a thermal discouragement beam. Glados claims to need to start the facility back up while she performed the test, and then tells Shell to pace herself because the numerous amount of tests. Discouragement redirection cube, they redirect to lasers, and Wheatley is alive. After the test is done, Glados berates you and tells Shell how much of a horrible person she is for killing her, even though she wanted to kill us first. Test Chamber 4, lasers can activate moving platforms. Test Chamber 5 introduces aerial fate plates.
Good luck.
How fun. Test Chamber 6 introduces advanced aerial fate plates, where you have to jump from one to another. To make a portal to let the cubes come across, Glados calls you smelly garbage.
Sorry, I'm still cleaning out the test chambers, so sometimes there's still trash in them, standing around, smelling and being useless.
Test Chamber 7 is the only chamber in the game to have the companion cube. Glados fizzles the cube several times like an asshole before we could actually use it.
Every test chamber is equipped with an emancipation grill at its exit, so that test subjects cannot smuggle test objects out of the test area. This one is broken. Don't take anything with you.
But conveniently, it looks like the emancipation grill is broken. Let's bring the companion cube with us. Test chamber 8, Shell has to make a portal through a small gap and use a redirection cube to shoot a laser through a fizzler. You do more tests, the hard light bridge is introduced. Walking into test chamber 21,
What's going on?
the lights turn off, Wheatley is back,
Hey, buddy!
and we're now escaping. Glados will attempt to lure Shell to her death by leading her into an easy chamber.
Wait, where you going?
Oh look, there's a deer. You probably can't see it. Get closer.
If you choose to enter, the walls will close in and Glados will activate the neurotoxin, killing you. If not, the escape will continue as normal.
At least she can't touch it. What's happening?
Okay.
Okay, don't move.
Ah!
Ooh. It's dark down here, isn't it? They say that the old caretaker of this place went absolutely crazy. Chopped up his entire staff of robots. All of them robots. They say at night you can still hear the screams of their replicas.
I honestly, truly didn't think you'd fall for that. Otherwise, I'm afraid you're about to become the immediate past president of the Being Alive Club. Goodbye.
It's my big chance. This is trouble. Not again. It comes up. Lock the lady.
Glados' turret and neurotoxin attempts were sabotaged. Shell and Wheatley forced a core transfer onto Glados so that Wheatley can take control of the facility. Wheatley, with his newfound power, betrays us. He puts GLaDOS inside a potato battery.
Well, how about now? Now who's a moron? Could a moron punch you into this pit? Ah! Could a moron do that? Uh-oh.
Shell and GLaDOS fall down a hole.
Oh, hi. So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
And GLaDOS is taken away by a crow, and we are left all alone to explore Test Shaft 9, abandoned enrichment shaft that was condemned and sealed off, used to test several experiments from the early 50s to the late 90s. Shell is guided by pre-recorded messages left by Cave Johnson and his assistant Carolyn.
Welcome, gentlemen, to Aperture Science. Astronauts, war heroes, Olympians, you're here because we want the best.
Mr. Johnson was featured in Portal 1, usually referred to as C. Johnson. Portal 2 went deep into his character, revealing how much of a role Johnson had in the hell that is Aperture Science. Enter the elevator and arrive at the enrichment sphere, showing layers of buildings connected, taking over 30 years to build. You start from the bottom, completing tests that were built in the 50s and are supposed to go up all the way to the top, ending at tests built in the 80s. Shell activates the flow of repulsion gel, which makes you and objects bounce. This chamber introduces an antique weighted storage cube, a 1500 megawatt heavy-duty super colliding super button, and a switch.
The lab boys just informed me that I should not have mentioned the control group. They're telling me I ought to stop making these pre-recorded messages. That gave me an idea. Make more pre-recorded messages. I pay the bills here, I can talk about the control group all damn day.
Test Chamber 2. There was originally supposed to be several catwalks, but they have since collapsed. Shell must use her portal gun instead to reach the other side.
In case you got covered in that repulsion gel, here's some advice the lab boys gave me. Do not get covered in the repulsion gel. We haven't entirely nailed down what element it is yet, but I'll tell you this, it's a lively one, and it does not like the human skeleton.
Johnson tells you not to get covered in repulsion gel, but it's pretty easy to have Shell covered with it, and she's not affected by it. In this sphere built in 1957, test subjects were introduced by the following message.
All these science spheres are made of asbestos, by the way. Keeps out the rats.
revealing that the sphere are made of asbestos to keep out the rats.
Let us know if you feel a shortness of breath, a persistent dry cough, or your heart stopping, because that's not part of the test. That's asbestos.
Test chamber 1 cannot be used because it is collapsed, so you have to use your portal gun to get to the second chamber. In this chamber, you place portals onto the repulsion gel to get to needed places. Then you make a long jump to the exit.
Just a heads up.
Test chamber 27. I don't know why the big jump, but this chamber revolves around timing. Water is brought through a conversion gel pipe to make the repulsion gel go away. Test chamber 28, there is a weighted storage cube in a large glass case, which must be broken after the cube is covered in repulsion gel and starts bouncing around the chamber. After being released, you must catch it and wash it to be used on a button that will trigger the exit. And if you catch the cube before it touches the ground, you'll get a cool little achievement. After this, you go up to the elevator to leave.
Welcome, gentlemen, to Aperture Science. Astronauts, war heroes, Olympians, you're here because we want the best, and you are it.
Walking into the enrichment sphere, the initial messages are intended for astronauts, war hero, and Olympians. This reflects a period of prosperity for the company, when testing involved the most prominent members of society. But there was an extremely dark side to it. Test subjects were injected with praying mantis DNA, turning them into mantis men. This test was postponed with another test seeing how long it would take to kill an army of mantis men using rifles. They would fire an invisible layer into test subjects, resulting in their blood being turned to pure gasoline, pointing a superconductor at full power at test subjects. Cave Johnson notes that the best case scenario is the test subject gaining superpowers, whereas the worst case scenario is the subject growing a number of tumors, which Johnson promises to have removed. You arrive at the 70s level, which introduces the propulsion gel. When you reach this area, you hear a message.
You might know us as a vital participant in the 1968 Senate hearings on missing astronauts. And you've most likely used one of the many products we invented, but that other people have somehow managed to steal from us. Black Mesa can eat my bankrupt...
Aperture Science faced many issues while building this test chamber. Astronauts hired for testing in the 50s disappeared, leading to the Senate about their disappearances. This led to Aperture hiring test subjects off the street, paying them as low as $60 to risk their lives in the test chambers. The test subjects' blood would be temporarily replaced with peanut water. Teleportation experiments that may result in test subjects being separated from their skin, and test subjects are asked to remember which skin is theirs. And when said accidents happen, they are promised to be sewn right back into it. Along the way, you reunite with Glados and stick her onto your portal gun.
Carolyn, are the compensation vouchers ready?
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. Why did I just... Who is that? What the hell is going on here?
Glados reacts to the message, answering to Johnson in the same words as Carolyn, meaning that Glados has a personal connection with Cave Johnson.
Those people in the portrait, they look so familiar.
Test chamber 5. This chamber combines the propulsion gel through a cube and a ramp.
You could walk out of here with 120 weighing down your bindle if you let us take you apart, put some science stuff in you, then put you back together, good as new.
Johnson admits that he wants to try out more dangerous experiments such as artificial organs, showing how much he doesn't respect his test subjects. We arrive at the 80s levels. Glados wonders who Carolyn might be, and if she might have killed her. The pump station is made of 3 pumps. Shell restarts the console. Gel particles are spread in several places in the pump station, and you must use a portal to reach the upper levels and avoid 8 deadly pistons before exiting the station. A poster can be seen promoting robot workers. The poster says, Carla the complainer says, "My boss is a robot," right after. "But how did you know?" Introduces the 3 following sentences. Robots are smarter than you. Robots work harder than you. And robots are better than you. The picture under is a picture of Carla the complainer entering the waiting area, dated 1981. The following message is heard.
Since making test participation mandatory for all employees, the quality of our test subjects has risen dramatically. Employee retention, however, has not. As a result, you may have heard we're going to phase out human testing.
Aperture is unable to hire homeless people off the street, and employees are starting to be replaced by robots. Experiments with conversion gel are made out of ground moon rocks that are poisonous and poison Cave Johnson. You see the last portrait of Cave Johnson appearing older and ill, along with such motivational posters like, "Remember, robots don't sleep, and they can test and do your job." Can't believe Portal 2 predicted ChatGPT. Glados uncovers that her consciousness originates from Carolyn, whose mind was uploaded to the AI network. As she recalls this, she gradually regains access to the remnants of Carolyn's pre-uploaded personality. After that, Gladys's attitude starts to soften and she shows more emotion. When Cave became terminally ill in the late 80s, one of his dying wishes was to leave Carolyn in charge of Aperture. He attempted to cheat death by ordering Aperture's scientists to develop a computer network in which his consciousness could be uploaded, but he realized he couldn't do this, so he suggested that Carolyn should do it, because it would make her basically immortal. When Carolyn's mind was uploaded to the AI network, the AI was unstable and extremely dangerous upon activation, trying to kill the scientist within 1/10 of a picosecond every time she was activated. In the game, you come across Ratman's murals depicting Gladys's activation. It depicts a screaming woman who has wires protruding out of her and scientists who are choking on neurotoxin. You enter Enrichment Sphere 6. After you complete the test, you get this unhinged message from Johnson about lemons.
Been thinking. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad! I don't want your damn lemons! What am I supposed to do with these?
Take the lemons.
You arrive at the gel pump station and pumps mobility gel from below into the modern facility. A hatch can be opened with a hatch override button in a boot, to which Shell portals herself. Inside the paradoxes, Glados suggests they use paradoxes to defeat Wheatley. Shell and Glados are on the elevator, bringing them back to the modern facility, and they see Wheatley and discover the newly designed enrichment center and the boxes with legs, the Freaking turrets. Wheatley was busy making stupid objects and failed to maintain the facility's nuclear reactors.
Warning, reactor core is at critical,
which are now in meltdown. Glados attempts to destroy Wheatley with a logical paradox.
I'll go true. Yeah, that was easy. I'll be honest, I might have heard that one before though, sort of cheating.
It's a paradox. There is no answer.
But fails because he is stupid.
I'll go true. Yeah, that was easy. I'll be honest, I might have heard that one before though, sort of cheating.
It's a paradox. There is no answer.
After a few tests, Wheatley's quest for test-induced euphoria forces him into giving Shell more and more dangerous tests. Eventually, he plans to give them both a surprise.
Hello, this is the part where I kill you.
Wheatley decides to take you guys on instead. You are easily able to escape due to the conveniently placed conversion gel.
No, don't do that. Stand right here, stand. Where'd you go? Come back, come back.
Wheatley attempts to stop them with poorly aimed crushers.
Yes, in your face, I got
and trying to talk to Shell into killing herself through the maintenance area. The two come across a cache of incinerated, corrupted personality cores. Glados makes a plan to force another core transfer in order to return back to her original body.
Well.
As well as making a deal to release Shell once they do so. He throws bombs at you, and you basically have to make it hit the tubes. After you do that, you attach the 3 personality cores. Shell increases Wheatley's corruption to 100%. Shell goes towards the substitute stalemate button, but Wheatley expects this and places bombs as booby traps. Shell gets thrown across the room as the reactor melts down, entering its final phase.
You've got to be kidding me! What?
Shaking the chamber apart, the fucking moon appears through a breach in the roof.
Oh, you have to play bloody cat!
Allowing Shell to shoot a portal at it, and the moon vacuums Shell and Wheatley into space.
Space!
Glados is back in her body, and she knocks Wheatley out into space and drags Shell back into safety before closing the portal. Shell wakes up in an elevator. Atlas and Peabody greet her. Glados tells her that being Caroline taught her a valuable lesson. that Shell was her best friend. She says she also learned where Carolyn lives in her brain, and promptly claims to have deleted that part.
Carolyn deleted.
Goodbye, Carolyn.
And she is back to her sinister self. Glados admits that her life was so much easier without Shell in it, so she promptly gives her freedom on the condition that she doesn't come back. Shell gets kicked out, and gives her the companion cube. Portal 1 had a minimalistic story. It focused on escaping Aperture science. Portal 2 had a much deeper narrative. It expanded the lore of Aperture science, added new chapter, added new characters like Wheatley and Cave Johnson, and further developed Glados, giving her a more complex and even sympathetic backstory. The writers originally wanted to make joke endings if the player performed certain actions. One of these joke endings was triggered by shooting a portal onto the moon's surface, in which Shell would die from asphyxiation over a closing song. The writers planned that Shell would say a single word during the ending, but this was not considered funny enough, so it was scrapped. Portal 2 was released to great success, becoming the second best-selling game in the US in April 2011 and winning 20 awards. The comic Portal 2 Lab Rat was made along with Portal 2, following Doug Ratman, a former Aperture Science employee who survived Glados' takeover. Hiding in the facility, he monitors Shell, believing she is the best candidate to defeat Glados. This comic shows Glados turning against everyone, filling the room up with neurotoxin, and killing everyone. After Carolyn's consciousness was uploaded, suffering from schizophrenia, survives in isolation, guided by hallucinations of his companion cube. After Shell defeats Glados in Portal, Doug risks exposure to ensure she remains the primary test subject, preventing her from being lost in stasis. Injured and exhausted, he ultimately retreats into hiding, with his fate left uncertain. Lab Rat serves to deepen Shell's significance, exploring Aperture's tragic past and illustrating the interesting character of Doug Ratman. Portal is unlike traditional horror games by contrasting humor and its darker undertones. This series explores themes of isolation, dehumanization, and the result of an unchecked scientific ambition.